Welcome to the Center for ECOintention. My name is Andeweg, and in this video I will try to explain you what ECOintention is. Well, to understand that we go back to the base of everything, to solid matter. But when you study solid matter, it shows that it is 99,999 it exists of empty space. And what did science discover recently? That this empty space is filled with so-called zero-point energy. And this energy was known for ages by all the ancient cultures as life energy. So we really can say that everything is energy. Everything consists of energy. And we also know that energy radiates. And it radiates in a kind of radiance. So that means this radiance or this aura you can feel between your hands. It's quite easy. When you rub them, you can feel certain layers between it. And even when you take your friend or your partner and you feel the hand of each other, you can also feel these layers, these boundaries. In fact, it's quite easy to do this. Also a lot of fun. And then we can make it very practical, because a lot of energy means a large radiance, a high radiance. And a soil has a radiance, but also a room has a radiance. So the more energy, the better you feel, the better a plant can grow. And this you can perceive with your hands. And we also discovered by all the research we did that a real healthy soil or a healthy room, you can see here has a radiance of about 2 meters and 10 centimeters. And when it is really low, when you are in a bad circumstances, it's about 120 centimeters. This is things we use in all the practice we do. But you can also feel this around the trunk of a tree. And we know now that a healthy tree has a radiance that is as large as the canopy of the tree. So we have a really very practical parameters to use this. You can also understand why trees communicate and how they communicate by the overlapping radiances of the trees. This everybody can perceive, and we practice this in our vocational training. And you can do this in winter, and you can see all here on this picture, it's no problem, it's a little colder, but you really, when you concentrate, you can perceive this. All types of energies, everybody can perceive. We know this from more than 20 years of practice. But how to make this real practical and more applicable? First we know, okay, everything is energy, but energy also vibrates. Everything has its own unique vibration. And we know that similar vibrations reinforce each other. This is what we call resonance. And you know this from tuning forks. When you hit one, the other one will start to vibrate. And it's a quite known phenomenon. But we also know it's a very strong phenomenon. It can have large effects. A little bit of wind blowing against a big bridge can make it whirl and have a collapse at the end. So resonance is a very strong phenomenon. There are many forms of resonance. And we also talk about morphic resonance. When you study the work of Rupert Sheldrake, you learn more about this, about morphic fields. But we know that every house, every organization, every family, you know, also from the family constellations from Hellinger, has its own field. And this field resonates with the family or with the house, with the organization. And it contains all the things whatever happened on this place. But now it's very interesting that also a map of a plan resonates with this field. It needs to be similar, based on similarity. So this also happens when you have an image in your head of this place or of your partner, the person you love. When you concentrate, you are in resonance with the morphic field and you are able to perceive information. And this is in a way very short how it all works. There is a morphic field, and with your intention you can send information or you can perceive information. And with your heart, you can send life force energy. And the two together create a formative force. And this formative force you find everywhere in creation on this earth. It's not so well known. But when you study ancient cultures, you learn much more about it. And to understand it, you can use the metaphor of a wheel. The metaphor of a wheel you can really apply on anything that's an organization or an organism. It's a wheel developing to its future, and you, or the person who guards it, the steward, the warden, is the one who really is in charge. He's in the hub of the wheel. This is a very old metaphor. You can find it in all the ancient mandalas. In fact, mandala means wheel. And you can see here this very old, beautiful Tibetan mandala. You can see the Buddha in the center and showing that's the place to be for the person with the highest consciousness, but also it's the place where you find your destiny. You can find it, for instance, in the Sri Yantra, a very well-known other symbol, but also in our own symbol. So the rose windows in all the cathedrals, there are also mandalas and wheels showing the Christ in the middle of it. And also the very ancient symbol of the labyrinth. It all resonates and shows us the wheel as showing the whole world and the center, the place to be. And in this wheel there are two forces at work. And these two forces have to be in balance. And you can see this is also shown in this very old ancient yin-yang symbol. You can find it everywhere. And now we have to study these forces to understand them better. And one force we know very well. That's the very expanding force, that everything that's in fact known from the explosion. It's the force that works in the outer world. It is the force that we study in physics. It's the force that works also in your engine, in your driving. We know everything about this force. But there is this other force I already mentioned before, this formative force based on information and life energy. This is the one is not so well known, but in fact this is the more stronger force. And it's the force you find everywhere in nature. It makes nature grow and also make the trees as high as they are, because science can still not explain why a tree is 50 meters high and how the water gets up. Well, you can, studying this formative force. These two forces need to be in balance for a well, healthy development of each wheel or each system, so to say. And this balance you can create. You can create it with your heart and with your intention. And that's the way how to direct your own wheel into the future. And all these phenomena about the formative force, how to work with energy, with information, are described in my book, The Universe Loves a Happy Ending. You can find a lot more about it. So in this book are also described the principles of energetic guardianship, how to direct your own wheel into the future, how to balance it and to make a healthy company or having the future happening positive things for you. The first thing is relaxed concentration. The second one is consciousness of the whole, knowing your whole wheel. The third one is a feeling for what is going on in your wheel. The fourth is expertise on the matter. You should know what you are doing. Affirming your goals. And the second is transforming a burdened past. It's not possible now in the time we have in this video to explain them all. You can find them in the book. And later we have another video explaining one by one. But these are the principles how you can guard your own wheel, your own company or your own farm to its destiny and have positive things happening. But now it can happen that there are very many things in a company going on that are not so well. There may be a burdened past, and that's for why we developed ECOintention to help other companies. And this company I will explain now in this video how we do this. So you can do it yourself, or we can help you like a kind of garage to keep everything back on track. But it's always done with you, together with the guardian, or you can call it the steward or the warden. So in a company there can be inhibiting forces from the past, very old patterns in behavior or things what happened. There can also be a lot of negative effects of electrosmog. That's very well known nowadays. There's a little picture of all the the Wi-Fi and other energy radios in Amsterdam in 2005, already old one. You can imagine how it would look now, this picture. There are also a lot of negative burdens of stress, of your people being too stressed, or they're all in the outside of their wheel, not getting back to themselves. So how do we restore this balance? Like we said, you can do it yourself with the principles of energetic guardianship, and we can help you to do this. So balancing the forces in the wheel is in fact a very old profession of healing. To understand this, well, look carefully at this wheel, because now we will turn it on its side. When I do this, it looks like this. You can see the two spirals are in fact two vortices. I will do it again. This is the wheel, and when you turn it on its side, you can see there are two vortices. And these two vortices, they are linked to each other and form a torus. And the torus is one of the latest discoveries in quantum mechanics. And in fact, it's the prototype of everything from elementary matter, but you can also find it back in a whole universe. Bringing the two forces in balance, it creates a torus. And this is how it looks. This is the shape of the torus, how those forces intertwine and work together. And then you see how it makes the energy going like this. You can find it form in any apple or in an orange, whatever. You can find it everywhere in nature, this shape of this torus. But again, we discovered it recently, but the ancients already knew this for ages, for thousands of years. And they always said to heal is connecting mind and matter, the spiritual world with the material world. And they had two triangles to symbolize this. You can see them here on the screen. And you can say to heal is to make whole. You can see here. And in fact, in the end, make holy, if you can call it like this. And in fact, these three symbols you see here, in fact, the whole way of eco-intention. You can start with an organization that is not whole. It needs healing, and you can make it whole or holy again. In fact, that is what we do. And to do this, we make a kind of energy scan on all these levels. We start with the so-called concept level. This is the level of the vision, of mission, of all the thinking, the targets and the management plans, etc. And this concept level is connected with the working floor, the realization level, where everything happens, where the plant grows, the tree grows, where the production is. Also where the rubber hits the road, so to say. And when these two are connected, you have a so-called middle level. In fact, you can call it the heart. It's the head, you connect with the belly, and the heart will open. And then the company can flourish, it can thrive. This is also the level of communication, of exchange of information with the inner and with the outer world. On both these three levels we do a kind of energy scan. And we do this work now for more than 20 years, and so we developed certain parameters that give us insight of how these levels are connected with each other, how whole is the company, can the targets be met. And we also in fact found real so-called streefwaarden in Dutch target levels from a healthy company. So we can compare the levels from the scan with the healthy levels and see how if the company is in balance or not. This scan we use, in fact, the plan of the map of the company or of the forest. Like I told you, you can get in resonance with the morphic field and then check how the energy is by your intuition. You can do this alone, but also with other people who can check each other. So it's never a real subjective profession. We also call it intersubjective because we can check on each other. So we have this map, and when the scan is made and the warden agrees with, and we can also test how long it will take to make the whole situation whole again, we can start the balancing. But how does it work? How does balancing work? What in fact does it mean? Well, here's a little example of a forest with kind of adaptation problems. Many forests have, it can be too dry in the ground, or all the electro smoke can have an effect on the trees, a lot of tourism, name it. And in fact, we always say that the solutions are stored in the morphic field. You can see here above. But when there are very new problems, new effects coming from out in the ecosystem, it has no answer to these problems. There's no experience with adaptation to do this. So the whole thing is, how can we download new information to the forest that it can solve its problems itself? And now we discover that the answers for the actual problems, the problems we are facing nowadays, they are in fact stored in the morphic fields that resonate with very ancient symbols. So each symbol also has its own morphic field with information. You can see here, for instance, this mandala. A mandala symbolizes the whole, in fact the whole universe, and it has its own morphic field. And like a lot of books there, and it shows that the information from the morphic field from the mandala can solve the problems in the morphic field of a forest or a company. It was beautiful to discover this. But how do we connect them and how do we test this? Well, then the ECOintention Practitioner comes in play. He can make contact intuitively after creating a coherent field around him and reading in a kind of meditative state. He can connect with the map and with his own intuition with the field of the forest or the company. And he can also connect with the field, for instance, of this mandala. And he can test, he can ask if the two are resonating with each other. Do they fit with each other? And he can do this by his heart, with his feeling. He can also use a pendulum. There are many ways to do this. Or he can also have just the insight, having this yes. I mentioned a little sun shining here. But then he knows the two fit together. And the problem of the forest can be solved by the kind of answers, books in the field of the mandala. So he brings them together. Also, it's a kind of really ritual he does then at that moment. And therefore we can use many things. Like we said, in ECOintention we use the latest discoveries in quantum science, in fractal science, but also we use old wisdom and bring it together as an applicable method. So every ECOintention practitioner has his own energetic toolkit. It's all symbols like this mandala here that can solve certain problems in a field or open acupuncture points. You can also work with colors, with sound, with crystals. Everything has its own unique effect on the ecosystem or the project you are working with. We even can work with fractals, and we work with the flower of life, ancient symbols and so-called modern symbols. We can all bring them together, and it's all in the practice of an ECOintention practitioner, how to use them. This energetic toolkit is described in my book In Resonance with Nature. You can find a lot more about it. All exercises also, how to perceive energy, soil energy, and how to dowse and how to use this energetic toolkit by yourself. We check this whole procedure with kind of forms, with all the steps the ECOintention practitioner takes. And also people giving, in fact, our teachers giving feedback to the students, but also with each other. Never people working alone. We also do check upon check if we do the testing well and make a real good balancing program. When we start the balancing, we are also possible to keep track with the forest or the company, the energetic development, of course what I told you. We start with the energetic scan, but then the balancing starts and the energies will start to develop towards these target levels. And each time when we do a testing, you can see here on the graph, there's all the little dots. Every 10-14 days a new balancing test is done. We make contact with the field using the map, with the forest, wherever. We can ask, how are you, so to say, and what is the energetic condition? And we measure the bovies, the POA, and other parameters I described in the book. So we have the measurements of the students, we have the feedback of the teachers, and I do this very quickly now. You see there's not really much difference anymore between the students in the 4th grade and the teachers checking them. They always seem to almost have the same measurements. And you can also see that this project went to the target levels in about half a year. In between, when we do the balancing, and that's been happening on distance what we do, we're also visiting the project and we have meetings with the guardian. We teach them the principles of energetic guardianship, help him or her or them with affirmations to really attract their goals. Therefore they need to transform old patterns to move freely into the future. But they also attract the future that they envision. That's what they are taught and what they do. And then it shows that the method is very effective. Every year we do research with all about 80 to 100 projects we do. But you find in nature and in agriculture we have higher yields, there's better quality of the products, better health of people, animals and crops. More biodiversity you find in ecosystems. In companies we have a rise in turnover. There's better organization and cooperation and a higher return and better company results. And at the end of all, do we need to work harder to have these results? No, it shows there is more leisure time and more peace for the guardian, the steward. So isn't this wonderful? You have more results and you need to do more. You do more with less, so to say. Well, this was a very short and quick introduction in ECOintention. I hope it is a little more clear in what we do. I think it was a lot of information, but you can read it, find it back in the 2 books, In Resonance with Nature, about the energetic toolkit. The Universe Loves a Happy Ending describes the principles of energetic guardianship. And in effect, you're welcome also to be part of a vocational training. You can read about this, but you can learn it also yourself. There's a 4-year vocational training, and you can find a lot more information on our website. So, thank you very much for your attention. I hope it is a little more clear what we are doing, and perhaps we see you back in one of our intensive or in one project. Thank you very much.